Good evening, School District of Indian River County. This is your Superintendent, Dr. Moore. I'm excited to be here this evening to conduct our July Town Hall meeting. Tonight's an opportunity to have a conversation regarding our current reality. And in today's world, the current reality constantly changes. It changes day by day. Each and every single morning we come to work as a team and we problem solve. We leave exhausted, thinking we have solved all of the problems and we're ready to open schools, only to come into a new day with all kinds of different barriers and obstacles to solve. But it is important work, it is meaningful work, it is challenging, but it's well worth the effort we as a system are putting in. Because ultimately, at the end of every day, we know this is about being best by kids. This is about creating a world-class educational system, a system that we as a community can be proud of. We as a community know, because of the School District of Indian River County, we are a better place. We are a system filled with schools that allow students to define their potential. Then we empower them with the skills, the abilities, the behaviors, not only to understand and realize that potential, but continually reinvest and recreate that potential. Tonight's a conversation about where we are as a district and where we are looking forward to going. When I envisioned this town hall, when I began as superintendent, this is not the town hall by any means that I thought we would be having. I thought it would be a celebration in terms of the opening of schools, how ready we were and how much training and development we've done to open to a new way of teaching and learning, preparing students to meet the needs of the 21st century. And all of that's true. But the path to get us there has been one no one could have predicted. The problems that we have overcome and addressed over the last several months as a result of COVID-19 have been tremendous. There are many districts across the nation who have not been as flexible or have not taken the time to be transparent and listen to the community. And over the last several months, both in the closing of schools as well as the opening of schools, that's been one of my priorities. To be out in front, speaking through the reality, the complexity of the reality, seeking input and advice from you who receive our services. You who entrust us with your children each and every single day. We are committed to problem solving. We are committed to creating the perfect reality for every child, even in the midst of COVID-19, which means we need to be flexible. We need to create environments that are ultimately different given the reality of each and every single home and the level of comfort parents have as it relates around COVID-19. Tonight's not a political conversation. Tonight's about facts. Tonight's about where we stand as an educational system in our desire and willingness to continue to design and problem solve with you what meaningful instruction looks like as we prepare for the opening of next school year, as well as moving into the future. So as we begin the conversation, I think it's important to begin with the current reality and our options for returning to school in August 10th. Now, we have put out information. I've been on Facebook, and it's been on social media, and it's been on our web pages as it relates to those three options. Before I discuss those three options, it's important to note, again, tomorrow, in between the two graduations at Vero Beach Senior High School, I'll be on Facebook Live once again, because I feel is as if we need to provide the community even more explicit information in regards to option one. Option one is our traditional return to school, the brick and mortar experience, school taking place within the confines of our classrooms. We have developed procedures and systems to ensure that students remain safe and healthy while on our campus. Tomorrow in the afternoon is an opportunity to take a deep dive regarding those new procedures and those systems. We do have a one-way hallway we'll be implementing. We'll be minimizing movement in classrooms. We will have sanitation stations as you enter every single building. Each classroom will have hand sanitizer. Each classroom will have wipes. every teacher and staff member in our family will have a face shield. We will put systems in place, and we'll take the time tomorrow to ensure you fully understand what those systems are. A deep dive on how we're going to keep your children safe. Option number 2 is that virtual experience. This is that typical virtual experience in which a platform drives the instruction, following the defined pace of the family. Not a specific time in which you would get on or get off the class, but a time to watch the instructional lessons and support through the use of technology, a platform driving the instructional process. But as we problem solved and looked at that option, we want to do more if that's the option you as a family select. We have and will provide a local teacher to provide that support behind that virtual platform. A teacher who will be committed to reaching out to you and supporting you and your child within that virtual setting. Very intentional conversation and contact, unlike other virtual programs. In other virtual programs, my daughter took virtual school and had contact with a teacher 2 times over the course of an 18-week period. That's not what we want for our children. When you go with the Indian River School District virtual program, not only will you have that virtual platform experience, you'll have the constant communication and connection to one of our teachers. Someone you may go to church with, someone who may shop in the same stores of you, someone who knows what our local reality is as it relates to COVID-19. This is an option we're asking families to make for 18 weeks. An option that will allow you and us to have a deeper understanding as we move through COVID-19. And then option 3 is our traditional distance learning model. This is a unique model that we have created. And as we go through the systems and procedures that we have in place for option 1 to keep our children safe, we know we need to be flexible in providing this third option. There will be families who, for them, and it's okay, will say, you know what, I'm just not there yet. I'm not ready to send my child to school. I appreciate, that's what we hope you say, we appreciate everything the system has done and how proactive it has been to create these systems to keep our children and families safe. But I want to begin the school year in a virtual reality, in a virtual experience. This will provide your son or your daughter the opportunity to attend classes with our teachers. But when the school bell rings, they won't be walking into a classroom. They'll be logging on to the computer, and the classroom will be taught by one of our teachers teaching the class of students who will all be at home in that virtual classroom. They'll have opportunities to be exposed to the lesson, the direct instruction provided by the teacher. They'll have opportunities to participate in small group instruction led by the teacher. They'll have opportunities to work independently and ask questions to the teacher virtually. The significant difference here is you'll have the opportunity to have a traditional classroom experience while being home in the comfort of your house. And at the end of 9 weeks, your level of comfort is in a place that allows your son or daughter to return to that traditional brick and mortar. You'll be welcomed back. Now, there's been information shared regarding timelines, whether it be an 18-week commitment with option 2, the virtual, or a 9-week commitment with option 3. We will remain committed to you and being flexible and constantly evaluating the reality of COVID-19. If the situation doesn't improve over those defined deadlines, we will extend them. I want you to have no worry or concern regarding holding your place in a magnet or school choice because COVID-19 hasn't dissipated and allowed you to have that level of comfort. And that's the commitment we make to you. So I would encourage each and every single one of you tomorrow to turn on to Facebook Live, gain that additional information. So when you look at this screen, you'll see some information that I want to point out. This is not, option 3 is nothing like, as I have explained, the program that we had in place as we ended the school year, much more intentional, much more deliberate in providing that instructional model. When you look here, this is currently where we're at. The survey, which is not just a survey, it is identifying which option you as a family will access next year. So when you look at here, the traditional model, we've had 64% of the respondents saying, I'm okay, I'm ready to come back. I can't wait to have my child, my son or daughter, in that direct instruction, brick and mortar experience. 18% are in the virtual experience and 19% at the distance learning model. We know tomorrow, because we're sharing new information, that may change your opinion or decision. And that's absolutely fine. We embrace that. So you'll have the opportunity to go on and you fill out the survey again. And the last time you fill out the survey will be the information that we capture. So it is a live and fluid information. So if you change your mind based on the information that we're presenting or a sudden change in COVID, because yes, that happens too, you can go on, fill out that survey. And because we want to be considerate and provide you enough time as a family to have these conversations, we're extending the deadline to July 15th. So I encourage everyone you see, whether it be as you walk your dog in the community, at church, at work, hey, we need this information. Go on to Focus, visit our webpage. It explicitly walks you through the steps that you need to complete in order to provide us with this information. Families that do not fill out the survey, we're going to make the assumption you're returning to the brick and mortar experience. We would love to have everyone's input. We want 100% of our families to fill out this information. So once again, before I move on to the next slide, if you filled it out thinking, hey, this was a survey, this was just my thoughts on which one I would go to, and it is not the decision that you want to make for placement of your child in the coming school year, go in, fill it out again, and that will be the driver in terms of the decision in which you make, and just don't worry about the decision that you made during the first completion of that survey. But please let your family know. Right now, if we look at the surveys as a whole and continue to play it out, we expect between 90 and 95% of our students to be returning to brick and mortar, with the other 5 to 10% participating in one of those two virtual options. And as you can see here, as I mentioned, we have extended the deadline to the 15th. Now let's kind of shift and pivot the conversation and talk about where we are as a county, as a school system. As you know, state assessment did not take place this year, and we were looking forward to state assessments even in a very trying and difficult time. We knew we were going to show the county the growth that our children have experienced over the course of the school year. But that didn't happen. But I want to bring your attention to where we are and where we want to go by looking at some data. And as you can see on the screen here, we're comparing ourselves, for the point of this presentation, to Martin County. We're very similar in size, similar in demographic, but we're not similar in school grade distribution. They outperform us when it comes to school grades. I have made a commitment during the interview process, and I continue to be reassured that it is the right commitment to make to this community, that each and every school in this community should be an A school. As a baseline, as a foundation, as a prerequisite, an A, and then building upon and growing proficiency for all students in all content areas. I know, without doubt, every school should be an A. So when you look at these numbers, you see there are opportunities for growth. The more I become familiar with the system, with the individuals who make up the system, I am beyond confident that will be a reality for us as a school system. When you look at our demographics, you can see here there is room for improvement in looking at proficiency. And I'll draw your attention to the English language grade 8. 60% of our students are proficient in 3rd grade, but yet in 10th grade, only 51%. We're going to flip that number. When you look at Martin County, they go from 54 in third grade to 59. We're going to do better than that. The more time our students spend with us, the higher their achievement levels should be. We want to make that a reality. That's the commitment we are making to you as a system. We will grow proficient students and move beyond proficient, move beyond just a level 3, but empower them with the skills to find a lifetime of success. We're looking forward to doing that work. There are just shy of 18,000 students in this district. There are 27 schools, 5 of which are charter. The rest are traditional public schools. We have done significant work and are very excited about the expansion of choice in this district. We took a policy to our board unanimously approved that shift and change of policy drastically by almost over 900 seats, increasing seats in choice programs, while at the same time, yes, increasing opportunities to provide transportation to our students. Providing higher levels of equity and access to our students is a priority for our board, and we were excited to make that happen. We are an annual budget of just over $300 million, and our teacher salary is just over $48,000. And let me draw your attention, that is below the state average, and we should not be satisfied with that number. So that's kind of who we are as a reality. As I said, we were looking forward to updating those numbers, didn't have the opportunity, but that's okay. Even in spite of COVID-19, we're excited about what instruction, teaching, and learning looks like in the school district of Indian River County over the next several years to come. We are in the process of recreating our district strategic plan. And I know, and I have heard, and I have received feedback, why are you continuing to create the district strategic plan? Just focus on COVID. And I continue to focus in on COVID, but one of the things you hear me say often is we all need to be best by kids, and we need to have taken the time to do the thinking, the alignment of energy and resources, and without a meaningful, aligned, strategic plan, we can't be best by kids. So we continued along a parallel path of working with our schools, working with our community, working with our parents and teachers to create a new strategic plan. This plan will go to the board for approval in our upcoming school board meeting. Tonight is an opportunity for me to quickly highlight some of the overarching areas of the strategic plan and encourage you to go back to our website, our Re-envisioning website, and provide us any information that you may see prior to the board's approval. So once again, here we are seeking information from you because we are in service of you and your children. And we want this system to be our system collectively. So when you look at our strategic plan, one of the things our school board has really been passionate about is a unifying mission. What is the mission of the school district of Indian River County? And what we're proposing to the school board is transforming education to inspire and empower all students to maximize their full potential. We want to maximize the full potential of all children, and we know it is the district, the schools who have influence through their inspiration and their instructional delivery that ensures that we are empowering those students to maximize their full potential. We as a system have significant influence and responsibility to empower children to spend a lifetime of finding success. We believe that is a mission statement that unifies us as a district, us as a community, to ensure transforming our systems, transforming our education to inspire and empower all students to maximize their full potential. That is something we all want to be about. But how do we behave? How do we align ourselves and our actions and our decisions to ensure that we bring that unifying mission to life? We have established guiding principles. This is embraced throughout our entire organization. Very specific training to ensure that our actions, our behaviors, and decisions are always being put up against our guiding principles. Just not words on paper or things that sound neat to memorize, but a way to evaluate our actions to determine that they're having the appropriate impact on children. The first one is empower problem solvers at every level of the organization. We want everyone to be empowered to solve problems regardless of what your position in this district is. You should be empowered to solve problems. The ability to bring concerns up to those who supervise you and bring solutions to problems that you work on a daily basis. That's part of an organization you would want to be a part of. Invest in collaborative cultures that promote growth for all. Just not growth for some at certain schools or certain departments, but we as an organization want to design ourselves in a way which ensures all members of the organization are growing. If our goal is to empower children to be successful and empower them to maximize their full potential, we as an organization need to continually grow ourselves in all points of that organization. Engage in innovative practices to optimize outcomes. We can't transform education unless we're willing to explore new ways of doing this work to ensure that we're preparing our students for the 21st century. Communicate with transparency, integrity with all stakeholders. This conversations that we continue to have, the frequency on being on Facebook, is a conversation about where we are as a reality. And there are those in the community who says, well, they said this and now they said that, because we learned. Because we listened, because we evaluate your opinion and we want to get it right for you. Yeah, we changed our mind because it was the right thing to do. We shifted or we pivoted our practice because it was the right thing to do. And I commit to you, we will continue to listen. And we will continue to make modifications because it is the best thing to do, because we as an organization will continually learn from our implementation. Provide equitable access to high-quality, rigorous instruction. That has been at the core of my work since I have been an educator, and it will continue to be the truth in all things that I do. The educational system changes lives, and we need to be designed in a way to ensure every student, regardless of the school that they go to, regardless of the classroom that they are in, regardless of the zip code in which they reside, have an equitable opportunity to have access to rigorous standards-lined instruction and in curriculum. That is a commitment we make. These are our guiding principles. Each and every single day, as an organization, we apply these guiding principles to our behaviors, our actions, and our decisions in order to ensure we are continually best by kids. Most strategic plans have goals or outcomes or what do you want to accomplish by 2025 or in 5 years. We have those. But we wanted to begin with what we call transformational impact statements. These are statements that ensure everyone understands what we will look like, how we will feel in the year 2025. All students are accepted and included within our school communities. All children accepted, embraced in our school communities. That's a system you would want to be a part of. All students have access to programs that support their talents and interests. Every school in the community is designed in a way to meet the plethora of interest within our community. You have an interest, you have a desire. We are designed in a way where we are differentiated a diversity of program offerings to meet the unique needs of everyone in the district. That's a transformational district. All students graduate are prepared to be global leaders and innovators of the future. Everyone graduates. Everyone has the opportunity to make significant contributions to their community and to us as a society. That's transformational impact. All employees are respected and valued, part of an innovative workforce. Just not, hey, it's my job, it's what I do, but people in the school district of Indian River County excited about the opportunity to come and connect to individuals who think and believe as they believe, where their opinions are valued and their contributions are welcomed. That is an organization that embraces transformational impact. And then all classrooms are designed to meet the needs of students in the 21st century. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in the coming slides. But each and every single classroom advances you as an individual to go and do great things and to accomplish great things. So when you look at our plan as a whole, where are we going to focus to bring about that kind of transformational impact? And through ongoing conversation and feedback with our stakeholders and community members, multiple data points clearly define these are 5 areas in which we need to focus and organize and align our work in order to ensure we find the success that we know we can have to benefit our students. Those areas are academic success, ensure high-quality, equitable, standards-based instruction for all students, instruction that moves and grows children, not instruction that just keeps them busy or satisfied, but rigorous, aligned to the standards. Regardless of where your child is in a classroom in the school district, that instruction should be designed in a way to pull them to the standard and ultimately beyond the standard. Equity, culture, and climate. Equity is an ongoing conversation through the creation of this strategic plan. Equity has found its place and continues to rise to the surface as a community priority, and you find it right here, equity, culture, and climate. You can't have an effective culture or climate unless you have equity. It is a prerequisite, and we will continue to create and work around equity within our community. Community and engagement, establish connections and trust among all internal and external stakeholders. Opening the doors and having conversations, willing to listen, willing to learn, and willing to recreate ourselves based on that communication and that engagement. A world-class educational system, a system that we will be, requires effective communication and engagement. Talent development and support. As a group of educators, we ourselves need to be invested in our own development and own growth. Not that I went to school, got the degree, and became a teacher. That is the prerequisite to continue to grow, to continue to explore who our students are today in our classrooms and how we create ourselves to meet their unique needs. What teaching was 25 years ago when I began, and who students were 25 years ago when I began versus who they are today, significantly different. As an educational institution, we need to be committed to understanding who our students are, how they learn, and how we shift and modify and grow ourselves as educators to meet their unique needs. And then organizational, fiscal, and responsibility. Our board has established a priority of creating a values-based budget system, ensuring that as a result of our strategic plan, we have clearly defined what our priorities are, our areas of focus, the transformational impact that we want to have, and every dollar spent is aligned to those priorities, addressing these focus areas, eliminating frivolous spending, prioritizing around these focus areas our spending to maximize the dollar to ensure that we're having the highest impact possible on our students. There are some key areas that I want to bring your attention to. And when you look at a snapshot, you'll see approximately 44% of teachers leave the profession within the first 5 years. As I speak in earlier slides about investing in educators and they leave 5 years down the road, that's a flaw within the organization. We're having to start completely over. That's expensive, having to start completely over. 1 in 6 children ages 2 to 8 in the United States have been diagnosed with a mental behavior or developmental disorder. We need to be organized in a way to support children, ensure that their psychological and physical safety, their social-emotional learning is addressed, and that is a prerequisite for meaningful instruction to take place in classrooms. Half of all mental disorders begin by the age of 14. Once again, are we situated and designed in a way to take care of the whole child in our school system? And technology improves critical thinking, creativity, and global awareness. That theme continues to present itself throughout this presentation. Now let's look at the funding provided to address some of those key areas that I just mentioned. set a comparison to the year 2007-2008, which is the peak funding for Florida in terms of providing funding for schools. Total additional funding for 2021, this going into this year, in comparison to that 2007-2008, almost $12 million additional funding. But when you look at increased funding requirements, so we increase the money that we give you from 2007-2008, but we're also telling you where that money needs to be spent and giving you certain requirements in which to spend it, drastically shifts that conversation, reducing that additional funding down to just over $2.5 million. But wait a minute, back in 2007, 2008, there was a shift in Florida retirement system, and our contribution as a system changed. It began, actually, and we had to begin to invest in our teachers' retirement. We love them, so we're okay with it, but it is a reality that we had to begin to do. That is an additional requirement when you look at Florida retirement of $3.4 million over that same amount of time. So when you look at that peak funding, 2007, 2008, in comparison to what will be next school year, 2021, it's actually a deficit of almost $1 million, $840,000. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, it draws the picture well. What you can get for $100 in 2007 as it related to Florida funding of education now costs you $125. That's not what we need in order to grow our children. Let's draw it a little closer to last year going into our budget for next year. And some will tell you it's been a great year. We increased funding for public schools, for us specifically, by $4.5 million. And that's great. We're excited about that, and that's a true number. But here we go again, increased funding requirements, unfunded mandates, things in which we're required to fund by reducing the flexible funding. Right at 4.5 as well. So when you look at those two numbers, it jumps that number down to $22,000. I'm still excited to receive $22,000, but let's not forget about that Florida retirement investment. And when you look at that Florida retirement investment on an annual basis, $1.4 million. So that additional funding actually is a deficit of $1.377 that we have to account for going into our budget preparation for the upcoming school year. When you look at other considerations and other decisions that we make to be best by kids in our district in comparison to what the state provides for us in certain initiatives, you see the average funding for transportation is 3.5, but it costs us 5.4 to transport our children to school. And that's a cost pre-COVID and maximizing numbers on buses. We've made those modifications for you, and we're excited to share how we've done it, but I want everyone to realize it comes at an additional cost for us in order to be best by kids. Going back to that 2007-2008 year, you see when you're looking at instructional materials, the resources, the books, the text that we put in front of our children, over the last 4 years, the funding has remained stagnant at $1.4 million. Last 4 years. Going back to that 2007-2008 year, the funding has actually decreased by 25%. 2007-2008 comparison today, a deficit of $454,000. Those are challenges and those are obstacles that we as a system, as a state, local districts continue to problem solve around and continue to do great work and ensure outcomes for children. Looking at high impact opportunities for us, first and foremost comes the ability to recruit and retain and incentivize high quality teachers within our system. A world-class workforce. We need to ensure we have the highest paid teachers on the Treasure Coast. Right now, that is not the reality. Both districts, whether it be St. Lucie, or whether it be Brevard, the pay is higher for those teachers. Yet, it costs more to live here. We need to organize ourselves to continue to recruit and retain the highly effective teachers. Now, some of you may be saying, well, wait a minute, the state just authorized and approved additional funding to bring teacher pay to $47,500. Yes, they did. That's great. That's wonderful. But what about those who have committed their career, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to teaching? I'm telling you, they're having a hard time understanding why they make less or just as much as someone who's a first-year teacher and they've been doing the work for 8, 9 years. We need to organize ourselves to honor and reward those who have committed their life to teaching our children. I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. Teaching and learning is secondary to ensuring students walk into classrooms and feel safe and feel comfortable, loved. Addressing their psychological and physical safety is a priority for us. It is an opportunity to have high impact, organizing ourselves to ensure we have the staff, we have the training, we have the mental health specialists available to ensure that we are appropriately addressing the needs of the whole child. And then our classroom, 21st century. Graduation for us, as I said in one of our impact statements, is a prerequisite. Every single child needs to graduate, but then what? Where do they go and what do they do? How do they contribute to society? That's what graduation, it is a key to future success. It empowers them to use that key to open up doors. We need to ensure our classrooms prepare students to find success in the 21st century. Well, let's look at some numbers when you look at mental health. 1 in 6 children ages 2 and 8 diagnosed with a mental behavioral disorder. Half of all mental disorders begin by age 14. 3/4 of mental disorders begin by the age 24. Rates of depression and anxiety. Do you want to talk about anxiety? We've been out of school for 5 months. And the school that we're returning to is going to look significantly different from when they left. That's anxiety for me. Imagine what it's going to be like for our children. We need to be designed and prepared in a way to meet those needs. This is not today's classroom. If you look at this slide and say, hey, that's a pretty good class size average right there, and that's meaningful instruction. This is not what our classrooms should look like by any means. This kind of classroom should be a thing of the past, as is this picture, a thing of the past. We want to revolutionize what our classrooms look like. We want to modernize the experience. We want to ensure that we're using technology to put in the hands of children to define problems and solve problems, and then create future problems that they themselves will ultimately begin to work and collaborate to solve themselves. We need to ensure each and every single classroom in our district prepares students to find success in the real world. School systems should not just be imparting knowledge, but creating problem solvers, creating thinkers, giving them the inspiration and power and skills to spend a lifetime attaining and creating and defining answers to those problems. And then when you look at the beautiful county of Indian River, a place that I praise and I'm thankful I have the opportunity to live and invest in each and every single day. We want to recruit and retain the highest qualified teachers in our district. When you look at the reality of what it costs to live here, we need to honor our teachers. Hard work needs to be done. We are created in a way to continually invest and shift and modify our practices to be better. That is my presentation for this evening. It highlights where we are as a district. It highlights priorities that we will be focusing in on in the coming years. These are complex, difficult times. Our rate of having to change and modify our reality has become a daily practice each and every single moment of the day. As I began this program, I spoke through how excited I was or what I anticipated this June town hall meeting to be. The room is empty. We're doing it on social media, on Facebook Live. Not where I thought I would be, not how I would be conducting this meeting. But despite the challenges that stand in front of us, this is an opportunity for us to grow. I'll say it again, tomorrow is an opportunity in between Vero Beach's 2 graduations, one at 9 o'clock for our students where we will celebrate them as a class one last time, and then in the evening. So with that, I thank you for your opportunity to serve as your superintendent, excited about who I do this work with and who I do this work for. Together we will continue to problem solve, continue to define problems, and ensure that those transformational statements, those become reality. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is a system that can be known across the nation as world-class. Are they words just to say? Absolutely not. Are they ambitious statements? Absolutely they are. Can it become the reality? 100% every day of the week, twice on Sunday. That can be the system that is the school district of Indian River County. Thank you. Enjoy your evening.